Good afternoon. I'm going to show you how to do a startup on the VERTEX R.O unit. The first thing that you'll need to do is to go over to where the solenoid valve is here, and there's a little white lever here, and you're going to put this in a position that is perpendicular to the valve head here. Once you've accomplished that, you'll come over and you'll either open up an inlet valve for the inlet water, or you will start up a booster pump to get the required pressure. Once you have that completed, I would highly suggest that you put a little container below to capture any minute amount of water while we're purging the air out. You go over and you can see there's a red button on the filter housing. I normally put my hand over to one side, and then you will basically purge the air from this until you don't hear any more air and water will drip down. Once that's achieved, you will actually let the system sit for 5 minutes to work its way all the way through the system. And once 5 minutes has gone by and you've filled up all of the membrane vessels, you return to the solenoid valve, and where the perpendicular white knob on the bottom is, you'll put it back in a inline position. We're in the second stage of our startup process, and in this stage, the first thing we'll have to do is to wash out all of the preservative of bisulfate that has been shipped with the membranes to keep them pure and clean. This preservative is not something that you really want to have in the product water and could cause sickness. So it's very important on both the concentrate tube and the outlet for the permeate that you will send this to drain during this process. Initiating this process is fairly simple. The first thing you'll want to do is to go to the valves and make sure that the concentrate valve are completely open by turning them to the counterclockwise fashion. The recirculation valve should be closed all the way by turning it into the clockwise position. Once this is done, we will go to the main power supply, and there are 3 readings here. One is manual, off, and then automatic. We will be using the manual startup for this process. In this process, we will turn the switch to the left, which will initiate a green light, and there will be a 30-second pause. During this pause, the auto flush solenoid valve will open for 30 seconds, allowing for a purge of the membranes. Once this is completed, the high pressure pump will activate, and you should leave the high pressure pump operating in this fashion with both the concentrate and permeate flowing to the drain for at least 15 minutes or possibly a little bit more to make sure you've got rinsed out all of the bisulfate solution. Last phase of our startup procedure, and you'll want to make sure that you have the concentrate stream going to drain now, and you want to have your product or your permeate stream going to either a tank or to your service line. And in this phase, basically what we're going to do is we're going to show the operation. This system has already been pre-engineered to work in a manual mode, where you will basically just have an operator turn it on. And as we have discussed before, the operation always begins basically with a 30-second delay and flushing the membranes clean, and then the high pressure pump will start. Or we also have another automatic function within the system. With the automatic function, if you see below, there are a series of pins here on the wire harness. And in the position of 3 and 4, you would basically take a level switch for the high level, and you would install that in there. And then on the area of 5 and 6 would be the low level switch. And by putting the equipment into the automatic mode, you will be able to have it automatically operating, filling the tank, and stopping the system to have a continuous flow of product water. Now, when you do start the system, as we mentioned, you have the 30-second delay, but also every time that it stops, you will actually have a 2-minute flushing again to protect the membranes, where pure water will come in and get rid of the concentration of precipitated materials on the membrane to basically help you for the next startup. And that basically is the normal function of the system for the operation of starting up and shutting down. Now we're going to go to the control phase of this, where you can optimize what you're going to produce. And you're going to do that by using the two valves installed here. You have the concentrate valve and you have a recirculation valve. To increase the recovery of the system, which is basically, you're looking at this flow meter, which is the permeate, and this flow meter, which is the concentrate, you can look at what the flow levels are in each one. If you have 50% recovery, you will basically have the flow equal. And you do that by just simply adjusting both of these valves until you achieve that. You can play around a little bit with this, but you should know that whenever you do more recovery, the quality of water, as demonstrated by the conductivity meter, will decrease with higher recovery. So the other thing to be very aware of, if you have silica or you have other components in the water that may saturate out, you might want to do a low recovery. If you have very pure water to begin with, you often can achieve the higher 70% recovery, which would mean that you would have about 70% here and then 30% flow here. And that basically is all that's needed to start up a VERTEX R.O. system. Thank you.